welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to draw 3 different crocus flowers. For our supplies today, we're going to be using the Sakura Sumo Grip pencil and the Sakura Pigma Sensei fine liner pen in the size 06. So our first step is going to be to draw our pencil guides, and I want to go ahead and apologize up front because I don't draw crocus flowers very often, and therefore I didn't really have, that super simple, straightforward, universal tracing or pencil guide for these flowers. But don't worry, I will go over these with ink and walk you guys step by step through each petal so that you guys can also draw these. And so for this composition, I'm just drawing circles for the flowers, and I wanted a variety of heights for these flowers so that it looks kind of more realistic and have variety. And so I also kind of sketched out the leaves, and usually crocus leaves are very long and skinny, and so I will show you guys this with ink when we get there. So we're going to start first with this rightmost flower, and we're going to do almost a circular looking petal. And I did accidentally move it a little bit more to the side than I wanted to, so I will end up having to move the stem over a little bit. But we're going to do this stem, and then we're going to build 2 almost kind of wing-like petals on the outside, or sorry, on the sides of this one to kind of fold into it, because this flower is going to be a little bit more closed. And for our center, we're just going to do kind of 3 or 4 kind of finger-like tendrils here in the center. From there, we can build the back petal like this. And then we're going to do the very last 2 petals, and these 2 will have a fold because we're seeing them a little bit from the side, but also we can kind of see the inside of them as well. So as you can see here, I definitely misplaced where I wanted my stem to be, and each stem should connect to the center. And so whenever you're inking it, make sure that you extend that center into your stem. That way it doesn't look misplaced like this. Now we're going to get started with our second flower. We're going to do the top one, and here we're going to do 2 kind of similar circular-like petals, but slightly more elongated because these are kind of a little bit more from the side. I don't really explain that super well, but whenever you're done with these 2 petals, they should look almost like a heart, making sure that you add little dips and stuff on the top to give it more character. And then you can draw your little center off the second petal, and from there we're going to build the back petals. And so 3 of these petals will have folds. Like I said from the first one, they're folding over, but we can also see into the center. And I wanted to add this kind of very unique petal because every once in a while, we have a flower that is kind of getting older. It opens a lot more, and one of the petals falls off to the side, and that's what this one's doing. And I wanted it to have a little bit more character, and so that is why I added this petal kind of off to the side. And so from there, you will build the other ones, and remember once again to connect your stem to that center. Now we're going to do our third flower, and this one is definitely, it's tipped more towards us, and so we're going to see a greater portion of the center, and this front petal is definitely going to be a lot thinner than the other ones just because of foreshortening and perspective. And so like I said, thinner looking petal and longer looking center, and that is how you will achieve that perspective look on these flowers. And so from here we can always build the rest of our petals. We're going to start with this first back one that you can see all the way, and from there we can do the side one with the fold, and then we're going to add 1 more petal here that's kind of folding into the center, which you can't really see that inside portion. And from here we will build the rest of the petals, adding folds where you feel like they're necessary. Now I'm going to zoom back out so that we can get started on the rest of our composition. And because crocus flowers are very low to the ground, I wanted to draw a few little horizontal lines here to imitate that ground so that I have a place to connect the stems and the leaves. And so I drew 1 stem, and then I'm going to draw a bunch of the leaves just because some of them will be behind, but I also want the leaves to be covering the front stem of that flower that's leaning towards us. And that way you don't see all the stems coming out, just a few of them. Have fun with these leaves, making them go different directions, going some a little bit taller, some a little bit shorter, some going off to the side, to the right and left. And then from there you can also build the stems and hide them behind these leaves, and then adding more leaves behind that back stem. If you were to look at a picture of a crocus, you would see that there's no way that you can have too many leaves. Once you finish with your leaves, we're going to get started with our detail lines. And detail lines is what helps bring your flowers to life and helps add that curve and definition, that depth. And so this is a part that you can definitely take your time on. Do it first in pencil if you are a little bit scared of where to place your detail lines. But I want to share the biggest tips for detail lines that I like to share in all of my videos because I cannot reiterate it enough. And so my first tip is to make sure that you add a variety of lengths in your lines, making some shorter, some longer, especially adding shorter ones towards the places where you want a little bit of more depth or darkness. And adding this variety will help it look more alive, because if they're all the same length, it's going to look too stagnant. My second tip is definitely to add curve to your lines and making sure that this curve imitates the curve of the petal, because you don't want it curving the completely different way or else it's going to look really odd. But when you add that curve, it's going to give that petal kind of that alive look. And then my last tip, of course, is to do your thing. You can add as many or as little detail lines as you want. I know some artists that are very detail line heavy and they have very moody and beautiful looking flowers, and I also know some artists that the lines are extremely minimal and it's also a very beautiful look. So you do what feels like your style, and if you feel like you haven't found your style yet, the best way to find that is to keep drawing, to keep practicing, and to learn from other artists as well. If you have gotten this far in this video, I just want to tell you that you are such a rock star. You are putting in the hard work, trying to get better at drawing flowers, and you're going to be able to see those results. I always like to say that the true magic sauce for learning how to draw is not talent, but it is practice. The more you practice, the more progress you're going to see. And here you are, you're practicing, you're trying to get better, and you will see that progress. Like I myself have been drawing flowers for 3 years, and it is crazy to see my progress from even just 6 months ago, let alone 3 years ago. It's just so amazing how much better you will get when you put in regular practice. It could be every day, it could be every week, but like I said, the more you practice, the more progress you will see. Once you have finished adding your detail lines, you are almost done. The last step is to erase your pencil lines, or you can add more steps and add color. You can use crayons, colored pencils, watercolor, pretty much whatever you want, but it's gonna look so beautiful no matter what you do. I'm so grateful for you being here. I'm grateful that you put in the hard work to try to get better at drawing, and I hope you join me next week for another flower tutorial. Thank you, bye!